After my health declined, my daughter-in-law announced, "We're putting you in a facility tomorrow. Pack your bags." She unplugged my medical equipment and said, "You're a burden." My son refused to meet my eyes. I gripped the table and said, "You'll see me again before I leave. My name's Franklin. I'm 68. I was born in Scranton, but after I married Lorraine, we moved to Allentown and built a life there." She was the kind of woman who brought food to the neighbors when they lost someone, who left sticky notes in my lunchbox with things like, "You've got this, baby." She made life soft even when it was hard. When she passed away 6 years ago, the house got quiet. Too quiet. I still made coffee for two for the first month after. I had some health issues, mostly my lungs and joints, and I didn't have it in me to fight them alone. That's when Ryan, my only child, offered to let me move in. At the time, it felt like a lifeline. He said, "Dad, we have the space. Sarah's on board. It'll be easier for you." Sarah, she used to act like she loved me, brought me birthday cards, called me dad. But I saw the switch flip the moment I moved in. She hated the idea of me in her house. I saw it in her forced smiles, the short tone, the sighs when I asked for help. The first few weeks weren't terrible. They cleared out a guest room for me. Ryan helped move my stuff. Sarah made meals. But it didn't take long before I became something they managed, not someone they loved. By the third month, Sarah stopped knocking before entering. Once she walked in while I was changing. I said, "Could you please give me a second?" She snapped, "You're in our home. Be grateful." Grateful. Every day after that, it felt like they were just waiting for me to die. Then came the pneumonia. It hit me hard. I couldn't stand for more than 5 minutes. Needed help bathing. Needed my oxygen full time. I told Ryan I could hire help. He said, "Let's save the money." But they didn't help. Not really. Sarah took away my walker because it scratched her floors. Started locking the main bathroom so I'd have to wait until someone was around to open it. One time, I waited 6 hours. I tried to stay silent, tried to keep the peace. I thought, they're stressed. They have 2 kids. This is temporary. But the truth came out in whispers and slammed doors. I'd hear Sarah yelling at Ryan late at night. "He smells like a hospital. This isn't what I signed up for. He's your father." Well, I didn't marry him. Then, last week, I heard the words that broke something inside me. "I don't care. He's going. Pick a place. I don't want him dying in our house." It's bad enough the kids are scared to come near him. Ryan didn't argue. He said nothing. Nothing. That morning, the kitchen light was barely on. The sun hadn't even fully risen. I was sitting at the table, trying to sip warm tea, hands shaking too bad to hold the mug right. I had an old flannel wrapped around my shoulders. My oxygen machine was making a low whine. It had a bad filter I needed help replacing. Sarah walked in holding a folder. She dropped it in front of me. St. Mary's Assisted Living, it said. She didn't look at me when she spoke. "Pack your things. You're going tomorrow. They've got a bed. You'll get 3 meals a day. Probably more than you need." I looked at the brochure. Looked at her. "Ryan, does he know?" She didn't answer. She walked over, unplugged the oxygen unit. My lungs panicked. "Hey, what are you? You're fine. You crank this thing up for attention. We can't keep doing this, Frank. You're a burden. You take up space. You make the kids uncomfortable. And you've turned this house into a hospice." She said it with a flat tone, like she was reading a grocery list. Ryan came in behind her. He didn't say a damn thing. Just stood there, not even looking at me. I looked at him, straight in the face. "Say something." He swallowed. "It's for the best, Dad." That was it. For words. That's when something changed in me. I grabbed the edge of the table. My legs ached. My chest was tight. But I stood. "I'm not dead yet," I said, voice raw. "You'll see me again before I leave this house. And when you do, you'll regret every cruel thing you said to me." Sarah actually chuckled. "Don't be dramatic. Your ride comes at 10 a.m. tomorrow." Then she left. I sat down. Slowly. Every part of me hurt. But not as bad as what I felt inside. They were throwing me away. But they made one mistake. They gave me time. I had 24 hours. They thought I was powerless. They thought I'd just go quietly. But they forgot who I was before all this. Before the bad lungs, the shaky hands, and the soft voice. I wasn't always a weak old man in a chair. I built houses. I fixed what was broken. I didn't lay down for anyone. And I sure as hell wasn't going to let my own son and his wife throw me out like garbage. The moment they left the kitchen, I took out the flip phone I kept in my nightstand drawer. I hadn't used it much lately, but it still had some numbers saved. One of them was Jimmy Costa. Jimmy and I worked HVAC jobs together back in the day. He'd been through a rough patch after his divorce but turned things around. Last I heard, he ran a small construction business in Easton and lived out near Martins Creek. I hit call. Voice shook a little. It rang 6 times. "Frank," he answered. Sounded groggy. "Jimmy," I said. "I need a favor." "A big one." Silence. "What's going on?" "I got until 10 a.m. tomorrow. After that, I'm being dumped in a nursing home." "Jesus Christ." "Who?" "My son and his wife." "Long story. I can't talk long. I just need someone to pick me up. Take me somewhere. Anywhere. Say no more. I'll be there by 8. "You want me to bring someone?" "No. Just bring your truck. And maybe a crowbar." He laughed. "Now we're talking. Hang tight, Frank." I hung up and sat back. That night, I stayed up in bed and listened to the muffled sounds of laughter downstairs, Sarah and Ryan watching TV like nothing had happened. Like they hadn't just sentenced me to rot in some place full of strangers and bleach. I didn't sleep. My body was tired, but my mind was awake. Angry. Clear. Around midnight, I opened my drawer and pulled out an envelope I had kept hidden for years. Inside was something Sarah and Ryan didn't know about. The title to my house in Allentown. When I moved in with them, I never told them I'd kept it. They thought I sold it, or maybe that the state took it when I got sick. But no, I kept it quiet. Paid off. Untouched. Still in my name. But it wasn't just the house. There were bank papers too, modest savings, a few CDs, and an old life insurance policy I'd never cashed in. Enough to matter. And now, I knew exactly what to do with it. Morning came fast. The sky was gray and wet, and Sarah banged on my door like she couldn't wait to throw me out. "You up? The transport guy will be here in 2 hours. Start packing." "I'm dressed already," I said through the door. "Just need to gather a few things. Don't take too long." She walked off. At 7:59 a.m., I heard a rumble outside. Jimmy's truck. I threw on my coat, grabbed my go bag, stuffed the envelope down the front of my shirt, and rolled my oxygen unit out the side door quietly. I wasn't going to wait for their permission. Jimmy saw me and got out. "You look like hell," he said. "Feel worse. Let's go." He helped me up into the truck, lifted my gear into the back, and we drove off just as the sun cut through the clouds. We didn't go far at first, just a few miles out, to a diner in Wind Gap, where we got breakfast and mapped things out. I told him everything. What Sarah said, how Ryan stood there like a damn ghost. Jimmy just shook his head. "Frank, this is abuse." "You know that, right?" "I know. But I've got a plan." He raised an eyebrow. "You remember Joe Warner?" I asked. "My old neighbor?" "The lawyer." "Yup. Estate, property, elder law. He owes me a favor." I called Joe from the diner. Told him everything. He didn't hesitate. "I'll draw up the papers. Power of attorney. Emergency medical directives. You can revoke any permissions Ryan had. You'll be in full control. And Frank, if they've been financially taking advantage of you, we can sue." I told him, "I'm not just looking to sue. I want them exposed. I want every lie, every rotten word, every selfish act laid out in the open. I want their lives cracked open like a dropped egg." Joe said, "Then you came to the right guy." The next few days were a blur. I stayed at Jimmy's place, just a pull-out couch and some space heaters, but it felt like freedom. Joe filed everything fast. He had friends at the local paper and some reporters he trusted. And he found something. Sarah had used my Medicare info to bill for a caregiver I never had. Over $12,000. Fraud. He told me to keep quiet for now. Let them think I vanished. Meanwhile, we gathered everything. Audio from the baby monitor they used in my room. They didn't know I figured out how to record it. Text Ryan accidentally sent to my phone, venting to a friend about how the old man needs to die already. And then, I gave Joe the green light. I told him, "Let's make it public." He smiled. "I'll give them something to read over their morning coffee." The story hit the Lehigh Valley Daily front page on a Tuesday morning. Elderly veteran escapes alleged medical neglect. Family accused of Medicare fraud. I didn't even know it ran until my phone started blowing up. Jimmy brought the paper inside with his coffee and said, "Frank, you might want to sit down." My picture was right there on the front page. Me in uniform from 1983, right next to a photo of Ryan and Sarah smiling at some wine tasting charity event. Headline in big bold letters. The article was careful, used words like alleged and according to a source close to the case. But the quotes? They came straight from the baby monitor recordings. Sarah talking about how she wished I'd just go in my sleep, and Ryan saying he was counting the days until the will kicks in. Except, I'd already changed the will. And the title to the house? It was no longer just in my name. I had signed it over to a veterans charity, one that builds homes for disabled vets. That house, the one Lorraine and I poured every brick into, they were going to tear it down and build 5 small homes for 5 families in need. That was part 1 of the plan. Part 2? Joe had found more than fraud. He found that Ryan had withdrawn $9,000 from my old account 3 months ago using my debit card, one I hadn't touched since the pneumonia hit me. It was clear as day on the bank statements. All the while, I was told we couldn't afford a proper nurse. Turns out, Ryan and Sarah were using my money to pay off their credit cards and fund a vacation to Clearwater they had booked for this summer. And they had the nerve to call me a burden. Joe filed the paperwork with the DA's office. There was enough there for an investigation. Then he called Child Protective Services. Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but Joe insisted. He said any home where 2 adults say the things they said, even in private, needed to be checked. There were kids in that house. Innocent kids. I didn't do it to get revenge on the children. I did it because someone had to be the adult. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. One night, Jimmy and I were watching a Phillies game when we heard a knock on the door. I figured it was someone from the paper again. But when I opened it, it was Ryan. He looked like hell. Eyes red. Hair a mess. Wearing the same work shirt from the garage he ran. Dad, he said. Please. I just want to talk. Jimmy stepped in. Frank, you want me to handle this? No, I said. Let him talk. Ryan stepped inside like a ghost, hat in hand. His voice cracked. They came to the house. CPS. Said there's an investigation. Sarah's freaking out. She wants to sue you. I told her to shut the hell up. I didn't say anything. I didn't know she unplugged your oxygen. I didn't know half of what she was doing. I should have protected you. You stood right there, I said. And you looked at the floor. That's all I needed to know. I didn't want her to leave, he whispered. I thought if I kept the peace, it'd pass. I didn't want to raise the boys alone. I didn't think you'd fight back like this. That part made me laugh. Quiet, bitter. You thought I'd roll over and die. That's what you all thought. He nodded slowly. No argument. You stole from me, Ryan. You let her treat me like trash. And now that the world knows, now you want to fix it? He looked like a little boy then. Not the man I raised. Not the father of 2 kids. Just a coward who finally realized the cost of silence. He reached into his coat and handed me a manila envelope. What's this? I asked. It's a statement. Everything I took. Every expense. Signed. Dated. I'll testify to all of it. I told Sarah I'm done. I told her if she tries to sue you, I'll bring every shred of truth to court. And your kids. I already called my sister. She's taking them for now. They're safe. I told CPS the truth. Everything. I looked him in the eye. Saw something I hadn't seen in years. Regret. Real regret. You've got a long road ahead, I said. And you're walking it alone. He nodded. I know. Then he left. And I shut the door. That night, I sat on the porch with Jimmy and watched the wind move through the trees. My hands still ached. My lungs still burned sometimes. But I felt stronger than I had in years. But there was still one more thing to do. Because Sarah wasn't done. Not yet. Sarah couldn't handle losing control. That much was clear. The moment the story hit the local news, she started damage control. She called the paper. Claimed they twisted her words. Claimed I was senile and confused. Said I made the whole thing up because I was bitter and unstable. But the recordings didn't lie. The texts didn't lie. And neither did the $12,000 in fraudulent Medicare charges or the $9,000 in stolen bank funds. I heard through Joe that she'd hired a lawyer, some slick guy from Philly who tried threatening a defamation suit. Joe laughed him off. Tell your client she better worry about the federal charges coming her way. And they came fast. The local prosecutor opened a formal investigation. The paper trail was too obvious. Within 2 weeks, Sarah got hit with mail fraud, Medicare fraud, and elder abuse charges. They froze her accounts. Took her passport. She got fired from the dentist's office where she worked. Her boss didn't want her name attached to their practice. It didn't stop there. CPS didn't just visit once. They kept digging. Turns out, Sarah had been hitting her youngest boy, light bruises, just enough to make him scared to talk. But they had him draw pictures. A therapist interviewed him. They got her. Full custody was stripped. Ryan, for all his cowardice, cooperated fully. He let them search the house, handed over old photos, text messages, anything they asked for. He testified that Sarah had a temper, that she used fear to control the kids and him. He said he was too scared to fight back and too ashamed to admit it. She didn't get visitation. She didn't even get a goodbye. Her trial started in April. I didn't go to the first day. I didn't want to see her smug face. But on the third day, I walked into the courtroom and sat in the front row. She looked over. Eyes narrowed. She looked nothing like the woman who used to bring me pie. She looked like a woman who got caught. The DA played the recording of her calling me a burden, of her telling Ryan I should die in my sleep. You could hear the cold in her voice. The jury looked horrified. She got 6 years in federal prison. No parole. They took her out of the courtroom in cuffs. I didn't say a word to her. She didn't say one to me. We were done. Ryan, well, he lost a lot too. His house went into foreclosure once Sarah's income dried up. He moved into a one-bedroom apartment and had to rebuild from the ground up. But he's trying. He checks in sometimes. I keep it short. I told him he's not forgiven, but I'm not punishing the boys for what he did. The kids now live with his sister in Lancaster. They're doing well in school. I send letters and drawings back and forth with them. I'm trying to be a steady voice in their life, even from a distance. They call me Grandpa Frank again. That means more than I can say. As for me, I never went to the facility. I stayed with Jimmy a while longer, and then, thanks to the vet's charity I gave my house to, they offered me a brand new spot in one of the homes they built on my old land. The place where Lorraine and I raised Ryan? Now it holds 5 veterans and their families. I live in one of them. Same land. Different story. They let me pick the flowers for the front porch. I chose hydrangeas, Lorraine's favorite. I've got nurses now who actually care. I eat real meals. I sit on the porch and sip coffee and feel the wind again. And I still have that oxygen tank. But now, it's working. Because no one's pulling the plug. No one's calling me a burden. I was forgotten. Dismissed. Nearly thrown away. But I came back. And they'll never forget that. Not Sarah. Not Ryan. Not anyone who thought I was too weak to fight back. I may have gotten old, but I didn't get soft.